What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. The reality for the Lakers, a lot of talks have been going around about trying to get rid of Westbrook, trying to get rid of his contract, trying to get rid of, him in general. But the reality of the whole situation is, the Lakers have just basically decided, if you go on some of the sites and look at it and read it, they really don't want to get rid of Russell Westbrook. And I mean that in a way of they don't want to get rid of him because they might have to give up other assets as well just to find a way to trade him. So if they're doing that, then they're losing their young core or depth that they feel like they have just to get rid of one player. So, a player like Austin Reeves, the good young bright spot that the Lakers had last year, they probably have to give him up, maybe another young guy, maybe Malik Monk or somebody else, just to get rid of Russell Westbrook in a contract, in a trade, because nobody really wants Russ by himself. They want more than that because what he showed last year really made his stock go down. And I know Lakers fans are going to hate to hear this, but this is really the truth. The Lakers, they want to keep, they're going to tune out all of the speculation, the talking, and do what's best for the team, which is keep Russell Westbrook, because maybe after next year, they might have more options for Russell Westbrook, because maybe his stock will go down a little bit further, and maybe some team might actually bite on the fact of, taking him, because it might be, less that they might have to give up or less that they might have to give out to get a player like Russell Westbrook if his stock goes down even more after this upcoming season. So maybe the way the Lakers are probably looking at it, they're probably looking at it like they got a better chance to get rid of him after this next season that's coming up, because his stock will probably go down lower. And on top of that, they'll be able to make a case of shipping him off to a team like maybe an Indiana or something like that, and don't really want nothing much in return. And they won't have to give up much probably to add with Russell Westbrook to make the deal go through. Whereas right now, when you look at Russ's contract, as big as it is for a team to take that on, and then the fact that he's definitely not the player he once was, and the antics and all that comes with Russell Westbrook, they want to be compensated a little bit more, and that's the hard bargain with teams right now. When they tried to do the trade with John Wall, Houston wanted more than Russell Westbrook. They didn't think it was an even trade. They didn't think it was a fair, even trade. That's the reason why that didn't go through. And that's what a lot of teams are starting to look at. It's not like they're getting the Russell Westbrook from several years ago. They're getting this Russell Westbrook now, who kind of has lost a step a little bit. And on top of that, he's not, helping teams win. He's not playing with that fire that he used to have. And teams are looking at that, and they're looking at that like, okay, well, why would we want the guy if he's not the player he once was, and he got a huge contract, and he definitely is not living up to it? We're going to need more than that. And that's the hard bargain that the Lakers and Jeannie Buss and all them is having right now, along with Rob Pelinka, because they really can't find a team that would take on his contract and everything that comes with Russ, because it's not about winning. If you can't help the Lakers make it to a play-in tournament, what can you do for any other team in the NBA? And that's what a lot of teams are looking at. You are supposed to be a top 75 player, and you can't even help your team get to a play-in tournament, and you got two other superstars on there. And predominantly most nights out of this past season that the Lakers had, it was at least two of those superstars on the floor. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like just one superstar on the floor carrying the other two was out all season or something like that. No, it was predominantly at least two superstars on the floor. And there was times in the season where all three of them were on the floor, meaning Westbrook, LeBron, and AD. So, if you can't make the play-in tournament with a team that has that type of firepower, even though they're not that good defensively, that says very little about you as a player, and that says very little about your stock. And that's the way teams are looking at Russell Westbrook. If you can't go there and at least get to a play-in tournament or maybe a first round of playoffs, how much of a failure, how much of a non-success would Russell Westbrook be if we bring him onto our organization? And that's the way teams are looking at it, and I don't really fault them for looking at it that way. That's why they want more in return besides Russell Westbrook, because that really isn't good enough, at this point by what everybody's seeing. So the Lakers have just basically decided, that they don't want to give up or add any additional or render any additional pieces like a Austin Reeves or Malik Monk just to get rid of Russell Westbrook, because they feel like they'd be losing too much, in the long run, because those guys can help carry the franchise. Maybe not carry the franchise, I shouldn't say that, but they can, be a part of the franchise going forward, with, some good young youth guys in there who are understanding, basketball more and more, and just starting to get their feet wet in the NBA and get things going for their career. They can definitely add to, be good role players to another superstar player they put into, LA here soon or late, here in the future, near future, once LeBron retires and everything like that. You don't want to give up those young pieces because they could be around and they can be a part of your franchise going forward that could do good things. So I understand that, most teams, all teams have to be in some sort of rebuild mode, and that's what the Lakers are looking at. No need to give up some of their good young pieces along with Russell Westbrook and give that talent away, because the last several years they've given away a lot of talent. I mean, they've had, Alex Caruso. They had, let's see, a lot of people might not agree. They had Kyle Kuzma, they had KCP. They had a lot of good, they had some pieces. They had Lonzo Ball. They had Julius Randle. They had Brandon Ingram. I think they even had Jordan Clarkson, at one point or something like that, I believe. But, my point is, they've had so many good, young talented players that they let go. And now they sit back and look at the situation, whereas we don't need to do that anymore. We don't need to, when we're trying to make a trade or anything like that, we don't need to let go of our younger players who are going to be here and who can help build us into something more than what we are now. If, just to trade one player just doesn't make any sense, because think about it. They had, James Worthy just made the statement about a week ago. When I actually talked about it in one of my videos, you can go check that out. James Worthy made the statement about a week ago. The Lakers are not in rebuilding mode. And I know because LeBron always wants to think championship first, and that's always a good thing, but it's only good when you're winning. It's only good when you're making the playoffs. It's only good when you're, putting yourself in position to be a contender to win a championship. And this past year was a utter complete failure for the Lakers. But James Worthy said it. You gave up all those young guys and you got nothing. You got an aging superstar in LeBron. You got an injury-prone AD. And you got a Russell Westbrook that's not the player that he was and definitely doesn't fit with this Lakers team the way they play. And if you look at some of the young players that they've given up, like Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, those type players will make the Lakers so much better. Alex Caruso was one of the leaders in steals this past year, and he's definitely good at getting steals. He's definitely crafty on defense. He's definitely an all-around good player. Decent IQ for the game and the way he plays. I definitely like Alex Caruso. Lonzo Ball has grown a whole lot, even though he is injury prone a little bit. But with his gameplay, as far as passing, seeing the floor, and having basically a third eye on the floor, seeing everything before it happens, and the way he's developing as a player with his jump shot, or should I say his 3-point shot, getting better and better. They definitely could have used a player like him this past season. Even if he played half a season, that would mean they would have won more games, possibly. And winning more games, well, that would at least ensure them to possibly make the play-in tournament, or at least gave them a better chance of making the play-in tournament. And this is my point. You look at the young players they've given up, they can't afford to keep doing that. And that's the reason why I said to make a trade for Russell Westbrook, teams want more. And they want more as in some of those additional young pieces that they got to, maybe help better their roster and their future, for their future success. And that's not what the Lakers are wanting to do. And to be honest with you, that's actually smart. The Lakers don't need to do that, because they've given up enough young talent that right now they would be probably a number 1 seed or something. They would have been a number 1 seed this year if they had some of that talent. Like I said, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, look how much he's grown. Julius Randle, even though I'm not a fan of Julius Randle at all, but he has, grown a little bit as a player, more offensively skilled, and, definitely, had an opportunity in New York to display, his skills a little bit, and, got a big contract. So he definitely upped his game a little bit. And like I said, you look at some of the other players, like I said, Jordan Clarkson, season, Sixth Man of the Year. He's won that, I believe, about a year or two ago, a couple years ago. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you look at all the players they had and how they developed. If they would have kept them, I mean, your chances of at least making the playoffs and, putting yourself in position to win would be a lot better. Now you got a bunch of old guys on the roster who really can't do half the things they used to, and you're just living off of a dream or the past, because that's what 90% of the Lakers are, the past. You see what I'm saying? Only reason why LeBron isn't the past because he made himself relevant by putting up all them points last year. But what does it really matter? As he said, it's empty calories. You're not winning. And see, that's what it comes down to. It's all about winning with the Lakers. It's not about, individual accolades or we just made it to the playoffs. It's about winning championships. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to, pull something. Oh, they're trying to trade Russell Westbrook this next upcoming season around All-Star break or something like that. It's probably not going to happen, Lakers fans. They're probably going to have to just stand on that and see what happens going into the next season, because I think his contract is too much and most teams just don't want it unless they get additional pieces. And the Lakers are not trying to do that because they're still trying to keep what they have moving forward for their future. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos if you haven't. And hey, Khaliis out.